Excellencies, honorable members present, our founding fathers who are here, I'm honored to join you this evening to celebrate KEPSA's 20 years of transformative contribution to Kenya's socio-economic development, a milestone that highlights the power of partnership and collaboration between the government and private sector in driving national progress. Over the past 20 years or 2 decades, Kenya's economy has experienced extraordinary growth. A consistent GDP growth rate of 5.6%, again in 2023. This impressive and resilient performance demonstrates the economy, a dynamic and vibrant private sector that continues to serve as a cornerstone of our economic development. Critical areas of our economy, from agriculture, which employs over 40% of Kenyans, the service sector, services drive innovation and growth. Tourism has also played a pivotal role with accommodation and food services recording a growth of 26% in the second quarter of this year. Together, these sectors form the bedrock of our shared prosperity. Recognizing the central role of the private sector, the government of Kenya has prioritized creating a conducive environment for business through initiatives that are being undertaken by my friend Salim Vuria and the State Department's charge. These platforms facilitate continuous dialogue between government and the private sector, ensure the implementation of necessary reforms, and promote policy alignment to drive economic growth. I have had occasion to engage KEPSA in roundtables, I think 3 times, and it has been a very informative conversation. I have also asked the ministry responsible for this space to have continuous engagement, especially when we are formulating policy positions, when we are looking at what areas that we need to intervene. And I'm very happy that that conversation is ongoing. We just need to scale it up. Our collaboration has already yielded significant outcomes, including the introduction of incentives for manufacturing, e-mobility, and special economic zones. These measures, alongside streamlined tax refund mechanisms, have boosted investor confidence and enhanced Kenya's global competitiveness. You all remember when we had this conversation about tax refunds. And we made the decision that because we were having a monster of a problem that seems to be non-ending, we took the policy decision and passed it in Parliament that if KRA owes your business and in 6 months they are unable to pay you, the next time you're supposed to pay KRA, deduct the money that they are supposed to pay you before you pay your taxes. That way, we make sure that we have a win-win arrangement, that if KRA delays in paying your refunds, there is no justification for you to pay the next until you get your refunds. So you net off, and I think it's managed to improve things on both sides. I think KRA are now much more forthcoming whenever they are processing those refunds. These measures, alongside streamlined tax mechanisms, have boosted investor confidence and enhanced our competitiveness. On the macroeconomic front, deliberate policy interventions have stabilized the Kenya shilling, leading to a 20% appreciation from Kenya shillings 162 to the dollar in February 2024 to Kenya shillings 129 today. Inflation has fallen to a 17-year low, declining from 9.6 in September 2022 to 2.8 this month. Additionally, foreign exchange reserves have surged to US dollars 9.5 billion, ensuring robust import cover and strengthening our financial markets. You all remember 2 years ago we had a big challenge. In fact, the first group that I met were the oil marketers. And the oil marketers were really in trouble because we spend close to $500 million every month to service our oil products imports. It was a big challenge, and we managed to design an innovative mechanism working with local banks and structured what many people did not think it was going to work. But today, we have a working mechanism that has removed pressure from banks. I remember banks had become rationing dollars that are available to importers. We have since resolved that issue, and I am very confident about the future, that even companies that could not remit, dividends to foreigners, and they had to wait for months to be able to do that, that challenge has now been removed, sorted out, because we have consistently worked with the private sector to identify areas of collaboration and partnership that would help to resolve the challenges that face our economy. I must say here that for the first time, I realized why a big bank is necessary. Because all the other banks took off, and we were left with Kenya Commercial Bank, and they sorted us out. Congratulations, Kenya Commercial Bank, for standing in the gap. Subsequently, many other banks have come on board, and we are now working together with confidence with all the other banking institutions. The outcomes, of course, have restored market confidence, significantly reduced the cost of servicing external debt, and created fiscal space to support our development priorities. The government of Kenya remains unwavering in its commitment to leverage public-private partnership to fund and deliver major infrastructure projects across Kenya. World-class infrastructure is the foundation of economic growth, job creation, poverty alleviation, and regional integration. From successful collaborations such as the Nairobi Expressway, the County Aggregation and Industrial Parks, and the Lapsset Corridor, we have demonstrated how PPPs can mobilize private capital and expertise while reducing the fiscal burden on the government. Moving forward, we are expanding this model to critical sectors, including transport, energy, water, and affordable housing, to ensure sustainable and efficient delivery of projects that transparently and efficiently meet the needs of our people. Let me say this, that private-public partnership is the way to the future. We are currently in consultation on how to deliver universal health coverage. And one item that is critical to the delivery of universal health coverage is equipment in our hospitals, whether we are talking about MRI equipment, whether we are talking about dialysis equipment, and many other equipments that are necessary for the delivery of UHC. Of course, apart from human capital that we require, and apart from medical commodities that we require. And we have agreed in a structured manner with all the stakeholders, including our county governments, that using the model that we used before under the managed equipment service, we have improved on that model. In that model, we contracted suppliers who supplied equipment, and we used the equipment to deliver service. We paid the suppliers for that equipment over time. This time round, we've made it even better. We have told the suppliers, because the challenge we had in the other program was that we had some equipment delivered to some hospitals that did not work, and yet we paid for them. And some of the time the equipment worked, some of the time it did not work, but we paid for them. So we told them this time round, you deliver the equipment, because this is a public-private partnership. We will pay you for the service of that equipment. If you deliver for us one MRI service, we pay for that service. If the equipment is down, we don't pay. If the equipment is not functioning, we don't pay. That way, everybody does their part of the bargain. Equipment that we have used public money to pay, yet not working. Or we also eliminate paying for equipment that is not providing any service. That you can fly from Dubai 5 hours, but you can also spend 3 hours. But thanks to the expressway, did not put any money in the expressway. It was built by the private sector. We gave them a long-term lease of 27 years. They will recover their money from the tolling, and we are all happy. We can now take between 10 and 15 minutes to be in the city center. We don't have to spend 3 hours. I guess it works for everybody. It works for the private sector, it works for the public sector, it works for all of us who use that facility. And that is how the future is going to look like, because it provides us a win-win arrangement. Unless the private sector represented here don't see the opportunity. When we talk about the private sector, and when we talk about PPP, they must not necessarily be foreign, and they must not necessarily be white. Yeah? So you should put yourselves together and deliver some of these projects locally. We have sufficient financial muscle among some of you who can help us deliver some of these projects. Let me give you another example. The governor of Nairobi again has said ably how we are going to give him 140 million liters every day beginning shortly, because we have just completed the project, the Northern Collector. But he didn't tell you the difference this time round. I have told him that we are not going to give him the water for free. He is used to free water, this man. You know? And you know, the irony of this whole thing is that as national government, we invest deliver water to utilities. And when that water comes to the city, it is free. So we go looking for taxes from Kenyans to go pay for the dam. And meanwhile, we have delivered water for free to our city. And that is why the city sometimes is not conscious. That's why most of that water is wasted. Because if you get some water for free, you are not very keen on how you use it, you know? So now I signed the law 2 weeks ago, the new water bill, We're now going to have a bulk water. We're going to sell him water at a fraction of what he is selling to the public. And we are going to invest that money in putting up a new dam for him so that we can meet the gap that he has said. He said he needs 900 million, and that is growing. He now, even if we give him 140 million liters, we still have a gap of almost 250. That way, we make the whole cycle sustainable. And because there is no free lunch anywhere in the world, I guess there is no free water anywhere in the world. And if there was, the county would be delivering free water to citizens, but they are not. So again, we have to build sustainability into this. And I want to invite again the private sector, because now we have a revenue stream. You can invest in water, and we can pay you for the construction of a dam, because we have now a revenue stream. So these are some of the areas we are building on sustainability to make sure that we can achieve the aspirations that we have in a sustainable way by working together in that manner. So the private sector has a very big role to play going forward. Whether it is in delivery of our electricity, all of you know that today it is the private sector that invests in our electricity. Through the power purchase agreement, once we give you a power purchase agreement, you can put your money in generating electricity. And that is what is going on with all the green energy we are producing. Now we have a water purchase agreement. We are going to have the next thing so that we can invest in that area. Let me also say the following. Because we are discussing about KEPSA and the private sector and what they can do. Look at what we did with Kenya Power. We made the decision that Kenya Power is not entirely going to be run by government or directors from government. That is why we surrendered 4 director positions of Kenya Power to the private sector. And we asked the people in that space who were equally shareholders of Kenya Power to give us directors to run that entity. And I pulled back government influence from Kenya Power. Look at the transformation we've had. This year, Kenya Power, that has made losses forever, made a profit of 36 billion this year. That's what it is. That's what the private sector, the difference the private sector can make. And we can continue, and we can continue, and we can continue. And that is why the private sector in Kenya is punching below its weight. There are bigger opportunities. The private sector needs to be much more robust. I will give you another example. We are, as a country, we have the 3rd largest livestock herd in Africa, Kenya, that is. We have the 3rd largest herd of livestock in Africa. And the irony is that we import all the leather products, all the shoes, and we throw away our hides and skins. I have looked for a guy called Rao. I have begged him. I don't know whether Rao is in this meeting. And I have really been on his case because he happens to have an idea of what we can do around leather, because at least he's producing local leather in Kenya. And we want to support that enterprise. I was talking today to the pastoralist community in Kenya, why we need to do more professional flaying of removing of the skin, that is, and hides. Why we need to do more in that space to invest And I have made a decision that Kenania, which has been a big challenge here, by January, it should be working so that we can do more around leather. We can expand our leather products and make sure that we take the country to the next level. Again, to the private sector, there is huge opportunity in the leather space. And I wish of Nairobi talk about digitization and a cashless Nairobi. I did commit that we are going to move government services online. We had 394 services online. Today we have digitized 20,855 government services. We are getting everybody. We have closed down 1,100 pay bills, some of which were even going to private hands. Today, all resources paid to government is paid to one channel. In government is paid to one channel on e-citizen. And we have seen significant increase in revenues, government revenues, because there are the opportunities for pilferage using manual systems has been eliminated. But you see, it doesn't stop there. There are people who have taken us to court because they don't want the digital process. Among the people who have taken us to court are headmasters of our schools. You cannot believe it. We have managed to get everybody to pay for government services using e-citizen. We are yet to get our schools. Just ask yourself, why should somebody want school fees to be paid manually and write some receipt there? And then, you know what happens. But I will go after them. They will not succeed. We must get them, we must digitize even school fees that is being paid by our parents. Our parents must get an account of how that money is being used. So that whole space around digitization is a program that will help us enforce accountability, enhance integrity, and make sure that we can account for resources that are given to us by the public. This commitment, as I have said before, is non-negotiable, as it forms the foundation upon which trust of our citizens and partners is built. By removing barriers and fostering a more predictable and supportive investment environment, we are attracting local and foreign investors, driving economic growth, and creating jobs. Our ambition is to grow foreign direct investment inflows to 10 billion shillings by 2027. This target will be supported by strategic initiatives, including the establishment, as was said here by Minister, special economic zones, and I'm negotiating for one in the county of Kisumu. Professor here asked me that we have 7 new special economic zones, and one of them is going to be in Kisumu, and to enhance infrastructure, as was said by Professor here, roads, making sure that we unlock our roads infrastructure. Again, there is an opportunity for private sector to play a part in some of the things we are doing around securitization of some of the resources to unlock the resources for us to do the roads, and policies designed to boost investor confidence. These efforts are already bearing fruit, with over 230 billion in investment secured through improved ease of doing business reforms. Kenya is now well positioned as a regional investment hub, leveraging its strategic location, robust innovation, and strong public-private partnerships to unlock opportunities and drive shared prosperity. Let me conclude by saying I am truly happy, ladies and gentlemen, and assure you of government's and my personal support as we advance our partnership to unlock Kenya's full potential. From 2025, that's in a few days from now, we will introduce the quarterly dialogue sessions with the private sector to address bottlenecks to doing business and explore opportunities for deeper collaboration. All I ask you as private sector is to find mechanisms of bringing this umbrella body, bringing everybody on board, including our friends at the Chamber of Commerce, so that we can work together. Additionally, we shall launch a dedicated effort to better coordinate business climate reforms, ensure that Kenya becomes the natural home of global, regional, and domestic investment. We will continue to expand the horizon. As you all know, we successfully negotiated the Economic Partnership Agreement. We are in the process of negotiating with the US. I know many of you are wondering whether AGOA is going to be renewed. Let me confirm to you that it will. I have it on the authority of many of my friends in that country. And I believe that the new administration is also going to support our AGOA plan. Once again, congratulations to KEPSA for 2 decades of extraordinary achievements. Together, let us drive Kenya's economic transformation into 2025 and beyond. Thank you very much, and may God bless you. A round of applause for His Excellency.